you very much. Hi there. So this guy totally ruined my intro, but it's okay, I will manage it. So the reason is, for me to be here today is, I want people to understand VCs. I was a founder myself before. I've been pitching to many VCs. I didn't understand them at all. Now that I'm a VC, I can of course meet entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and I realize that many entrepreneurs, including very smart entrepreneurs, don't have a clue about who we are and what our job is. That's exactly what it is about. So this is not, I'm going through the introduction because he already did it. This is not about trying to make a guide to fundraising or guide to pitching. It's trying to give you no bullshit and accessible insight about what VCs are. So, as you probably know, VC, venture capitalists, we are investors. It means our job is to be professionally investing in startups and also acting as a board member of the startup most of the time. The startups we focus on are really fast-growing startups or potentially fast-growing startups, and I will get back to that later. You know, one of the problems today is that everyone, as an entrepreneur, thinks he's doing a startup, and so everyone wants to speak with VC, and the truth is that most people should not speak with VC. A lot of people, including me, think that VC is a finance job, you know, like a kind of bunker for startups. And at high level, it looks pretty true. Our job is to raise money, so ourselves, we fundraise with people called limited partners. They give us their money, or they lend us their money. We make investment in a company like yours, and we try to make a return on investment. Most of the time, it's a power law. It means that a very small number of investment will return most of the money. And then we get, as VCs, a share of the returns. So you could not imagine more finance job than this one. Now, the daily job is very, very different. That's our daily job. Once in a few years, we raise a VC fund. So it means we convince those limited partners to give them our money. On a daily basis, we source startups. Big part of our job is to make sure that we will come across as much as possible opportunities as there is on our market. It relies on network, people knowing us and knowing entrepreneurs saying, you should speak together, guys. It relies on reputation, marketing, people knowing each individual of the VC firm, of the VC, that directly reaching out to us. And it's proactive hunting, us trying to find out at events like South Summit or on the internet, or whatever, trying to find out the promising startups. Then, when we come with what we call this deal flow, we have to assess them. So you're familiar with this process. It's part of it is when we meet you, we exchange with you guys, and we try to understand what you do and if it could be a good fit for what we're looking for. This is very tricky because, especially at very early stage, nobody has no clue if your company is a future unicorn, to take this buzzword, or if it will fail in a few months. Some cases can potentially be obvious, but most of the time, even for us, it's a super hard job to do, to try to figure out, is this company worth investing in? That's a big part of the job. Then, when we get a conviction, we say, yes, I would be interested in investing in your company. Oftentimes, you know what, we have to fight. Because VC and founder relationship is not like VC is a god and he decides. No, the good startup, guess what, other investors also want to invest in them. So it means we have to fight and to make the deal. Our goal is not to make any deal, it's to make a deal at a reasonable price. Obviously, investing in Facebook in the early days at 100 billion valuation, to make it very stupid, would not be a good deal. So we have to fight for all this. Do you want me as an investor, and can I get reasonable condition? Then, big part of the job is supporting the portfolio. It varies from firm to firm, but I'm sure you're all aware that there has been lately this trend about VCs that all really want to market themselves as hands-on. And why is that? There is a lot of VCs on the place, a lot of investors. And where you're an entrepreneur, and that you can find money quite easily when you have a startup that is working well, you want to have what we call smart money. It means if I get money from these people and I get them on my board, what can they bring? That's a big thing. Are they good at advisor, as coach? Do they have a good network? Do they have experience with my type of company? Can they be my sparring partner when things are going good or bad? And what about the firm itself? Does it have a good reputation? Do they have money to follow on for the later ones? All those kind of stuff. Very, very important thing, and that's one of the key things as VCs today. We try to differentiate on our value added as investor in companies. And then at some point, we'll have to exit. Our job is not only about finance. It's actually very little about finance when you look at this, but at some point, it's very important for us to have a liquidity event. That means that in a matter of within 8 years, for example, after the investment, we would like to get the money back and some more, if possible. That means selling the shares we have in your company. So as you can see, both diagrams tell a very different story. And that's the interesting part in the VC job, is that you always have to keep in mind, at the same time, the very founder and startup-centric approach on a daily basis. And at the same time, your performance as a VC will be measured in a matter of 1 decade about how much money have you invested and how much money could you get out of your investment. But very different time scale. So you can see, we're talking about business here, not finance. Is trying to figure out which company could work, trying to find the companies, trying to help them. It's a lot about business, much more than finance. And what you have to understand is we spend a lot of our time with entrepreneurs. We don't spend so much time with our limited partners, the people that give us their money. But it's an important time we spend with them. So to understand VCs, you have to keep those 2 diagrams in mind. Our responsibility is to support both ecosystems. We have 2 customers, the entrepreneurs and the limited partners. If we don't act properly or don't give enough value to one of those customers, either we won't have any more money to invest, or either we won't have any more startup to invest in. So very important, and keep this in mind when you interact with a VC. So I would like to give you a few insights about how VC think. We know we are often wrong. That's part of the job. Look at the blog post about all those people that passed on Uber, Airbnb, LinkedIn, whatever. All of us are missing great deals. It's totally fine. What is important at the end of the day is that on average, we do a good job. But so when I say, no, I don't believe in your company, I would not say it like this, but I'm not sure about your go-to-market, I don't pretend I know it. That's an assumption, my opinion, at time T, right now, and I might be proven totally wrong, or I might be proven right on this point, but you might still, in the end, succeed. So be totally comfortable with that, and any VC that would be cocky and be sure that he has all the right opinion would be bad VC, and very few of my colleagues are like this, I think. Our job is to bet. So bet means there is uncertainty, there are risks, and we're fine with that. And once again, people say, okay, this guy sees a lot of startups, so when he says that, it must be true. No, it's an opinion. We don't know. If we knew, we would all have a portfolio of unicorns, and we don't, Guess we don't. In Europe, I think maybe a few % of the VC investment are unicorns, right? So it means that most of the time, we fail at our job of finding amazing company that can grow like quickly. That's the truth, that's fine. Then what you also have to understand is that the scarcest resource of many VCs is not money, it's time. Especially at seed stage, it's the funnel. When you're raising a 100 million VC round, there are not so many companies. And when you're a VC that finance company that want to raise 100 million, there are not so many companies. When you're a VC like me, that invests in very early companies, you know what? There are thousands of them. And most of them are looking for money. It means that we are all overwhelmed with requests. So it means I have to make choices every day. I have to say no every day, not because I don't want to talk to you, but because my time is scarce. And I have many other duties in my job, from meeting new entrepreneurs, and I also have a personal life. So I have to say no. Keep that in mind. For example, when you call, email a VC, if you know that VCs have very limited time, how do you do your email? How do you craft an email that will draw the attention? Probably not by writing a 2-page email with a 50 pages attached file. You can't guess how many people do that. So all these are very simple things, but I can guarantee you that if you keep those in mind, you will start to understand much better the dynamics of VCs and the relationship with entrepreneurs. Other thing, is it fine? Yeah. We decline to invest most of the time. 99, it can be 95, 99.5, but Unfortunately, our job is mostly to say no. It doesn't mean we just say, you pitch for 1 hour and say no thanks. It can be a conversation. We try to provide feedback, to try to provide reason and rationale for why we don't want to invest now, but most of the time, the answer will be no. And often, it will be so very quickly, without even digging into it. Because so many opportunities, not the ability to dig into each of them. But that's very frustrating because you, as an entrepreneur, you spend your life, or a big part of your life, on your startup. And then you speak for a few minutes to a VC at a conference, or maybe you send an email, and then you receive, without even a meeting, without even spending some time on your project, a no. Yes, but that's pure matter of funnel. If we were to try to dig into each opportunity, we would not be able to cover all the deal flow. I know it's frustrating, but you have to understand why. So back to the importance of being good at the first impression and how you get in touch with the VC. But I acknowledge it's extremely frustrating. Another frustration is a bit angry after me. Another frustration is that standard of VCs are very high, and no arrogance here. It's based on our business model. I will get back to a few numbers after, I mean. For example, you come to a VC and you say, we've got 500,000 downloads of our mobile application. Man, that's a lot. I don't know so many entrepreneurs building a mobile app that have so many downloads. Now, me as a VC, I see quite a lot of startups that have those figures. I still respect a lot those achievements, but what is for most entrepreneurs amazing is for me good, interesting, but not mind-blowing. So think about this big difference of standard. And once again, it can be very frustrating because you achieve something that is very amazing, but still in the behavior of the VC, you understand that he might not find that amazing. Once again, think about this. If I were to invest in all startups that have 500K downloads of their mobile games or mobile application, I would invest in a dozen of startups a year. And actually, I will probably invest in one startup doing that each year. Also, most VC invest when you have already kind of proven something. Proven is on purpose very fuzzy. What I mean is that in 2016, if you come to most VCs, including VCs like us doing seed stage, and that you have an idea that most people have, you don't have any clear differentiation in the team or whatever, and you say, I need 500K to build my product. That's complicated because you have 9% doing more or less similar project that have not waited for VC money to deliver a first version of the product and to show some early traction or something like this. So it means that for most VCs, if you don't have anything else than an idea inside, it will be difficult, even for VC that says they invest at seed stage. Because in 2016, it's kind of easy to assemble a team and to deliver a first version of the product. I'm not saying it's easy, but many entrepreneurs achieve that. And we want to invest in people that are able to make amazing things happen with very little resources. But once again, I understand it's frustrating. Then you don't take any risk. Let's speak about the risk you take when you have a first product on the market and a few customers using it. The amount of risk is huge. Are there really more customers than those ones wanting to use the product? How do you monetize? How do you scale? Will your product appeal to a broader base of customers? Will you be able to hire the right people? There are so many risks. It's really not working properly. It's okay. Another thing is, our job is to benchmark startup. I would be extremely stupid if I got excited about what you do and say, oh, that's great, I invest. No, my job obviously is to try to get a sense of similar startup in the market, and most of the time I already seen similar startup in the past, and to get a conviction that you are the one I'd like to invest on. You know, I only have one shot. I won't invest in your competitor in 6 months. That's not the way it works. We don't invest in competing startups. So it means I have to be kind of convinced that you could be one of the ones that will win in your country, in Europe, in the world. That's hard. But our job is to benchmark. So back to the numbers. It's just an example, but I will explain you the rationale behind this. We want startups that have a big ambition and potential. And the sense of what big is can be sometimes mistaken. A 10 million exit for a VC is not interesting at all. I will explain you the maths. For an entrepreneur, if you have 30% of your company and you sell your company for 10 million, 3 million, maybe 2.5 million after taxes, and not so bad, life-changing event. For a VC, 10 million exit, it might be a 3x return. But remember what I explained you before. The business model of VCs is a few hits that generate a lot of money. If you say that maybe 15% of your company will be a hit, and that you want to return 3x the money, you make 15% divided by 3x, more or less, it's the contrary, the other way around, it will make 20x. So it means that typically it can be 10, it can be 13, but the kind of thing we want to be able to do as VCs is when we invest in a startup, we like to see a reasonable path where we can believe that if we invested 1 million initially, we could get 20 million at the exit time. That's a lot. So if you take, let's say, a post-money valuation, so a valuation after the VC investment of 5 million, to make round number, 5 multiplied by 12, by 20 is 100. So this is not an absolute number, but just to give you a sense, we have many entrepreneurs that tell us, so our competitor has been acquired for 10 million, and this one in the US for 15 million. How exciting is this? Totally unexciting for a VC. Because if my winners in my portfolio make this kind of returns, then I will just be a very bad VC. Maybe I will be a nice person, maybe I will be nice to talk with at conferences, but I will be a shitty VC. I will make 3x out of 20% of the company. It means I will lose money. People will give me money on year 1, on year 10, I will give them back less money than what they gave me. So it's not a good job. Very important to keep this in mind. Those 100 million mark is far from perfect, but it gives you a sense. 10 million is not a good exit. So very, very simply, what VCs are looking for? Growth. That's it, growth. Profitable growth if possible, but that's the most important thing to VCs. The worst thing for a VC is to invest in a startup and 2 years after, it's flat, because they will run out of money, because they won't be able to raise the next round, because it's hard. The main thing we want is growth. So it's the thing you have to convince us you can achieve when you pitch a VC. And very important note, I touched this subject at the beginning. Most companies shouldn't raise VCs. How many companies, how many startups, if we agree on the meaning of this word, can achieve this kind of performance of making 20x in 5-8 years? I will tell you, not so many. How many people exit our 100 million or more in each country of Europe every year? Not so many. I'm not even talking about having a 150 million exit after having raised like 50 million euros of capital. It's not a good exit for VCs, neither for entrepreneurs, by the way. So most companies are not startups in the sense of startups that can be financed by VCs. They are companies, maybe great companies, maybe very innovative companies, but are not suitable for the business model of VCs. And then there is the fact that is your company suitable for VCs? Does it have the potential? But also, is it your ambition? Maybe you don't want to fight every month, every week, every year, every day, whatever, for growth. Maybe at some point, you will be happy to have built a sustainable business that is profitable, that has 20 or 30 employees. It won't probably be enough for a VC. So are you the kind of guy that is so ambitious to want always to grow? That's not for sure. We want funders that have something that has a huge potential and that has the ambition to build a very big company. Not everyone is like this, and it's not a problem. What is the problem is not to understand that if you're not like this, you should not talk with a VC. And once again, that's not easy. As a founder, I went to see a lot of VCs, and only to realize, now that I'm a VC myself, that I was not the type of funders that should have looked for VC investment. I was much more focused on product innovation and building a sustainable company, not on growth at all costs. I will end with this model. This model is it's a way for me to try to frame what most VCs are looking for. I call it the 4 M's. The idea of this model is not to make something that is VC-centric. It's designed to be a framework for early-stage startups. The idea is to say what makes a startup at very early stage a potential big winner in this market. This is first M, market, being onto a big market opportunity. What does it mean? It means that you address specific people with real needs. Not so easy. You have a clear competitive positioning. Why do you think there is still a place for a new solution to solve this problem? You have to get a large and attractive market. Large market for a VC is probably in billions of potential revenue you could achieve if you had 100% of your market, not hundreds of millions. So it's big. And you have to get a sense of why you think that the timing now is right. Considering the trends, market trends, technology trends, why is it the moment to build a startup? Building a startup too early, failure. Too late, failure. You have to get a story around the timing. This makes a big market opportunity. It doesn't mean your startup will make it, but at least you're tackling a problem and an opportunity big enough to build a big business. Then there is the model. The model is the business model in the broader sense, not just monetization. Is it disruptive and is it virtuous? First thing is, of course, a product, a valuable and differentiated product that will bring value to your customers and to the ecosystem. Then you have the go-to-market. How do you find new customer users? Do you have an efficient way to do so? A good product is not enough. If it costs you 10 euros to get a customer and you get 1 euro out of his pocket, you don't have a good business. Then monetization, if possible, profitable monetization. How do you or how will you make money? For some cases, this is not a relevant question, but for most businesses, it's relevant to try to understand how you could make money out of this product. And finally, there is this notion of scalability and defensibility. To be a potential winner on the market, you have to have a model that could scale and that will be defensible. It means that if in 5 years someone put a lot of money and try to do the same thing, he would have a hard time doing so. Then we have the management. Management is team, but team has no M at the beginning, so I put management. So it's a management team. Are you the best team to execute? Of course, it's virtual. We don't know all the team. You don't know all the team working on this problem, but can we feel like you are the team that could make it happen? It means, are you a stellar startup team? You are lean, you execute really well, you are smart, you are a complementary team, etc. All the stuff about startup team. Do you have a unique vision, insight, knowledge that would set you apart from all the others? Then, do you have this grit, this ambition and purpose that will make it happen, whatever it takes? And it takes a lot. And finally, do you have an unfair team project fit? Are you really the right team for this project, not for a startup in general? And last point is momentum. Do you have the ability to grow fast? Where are you now? Did you crack something? Do you already have traction or signals that make us believe and make you believe that you are onto something? Do you have an ambitious 18-month plan? It means, can you take off in the next year or 2 years? Do you have a capital-efficient growth model? If you need a lot of money to scale, it's not that attractive, not that easy to find this money and to find a sustainable business. And finally, do you have the credible strategy to grow and win? It's very hard to have all those 4 elements, but that for sure is a framework that can help you assess your startup on this and what VCs are looking for. Big market opportunity, disruptive virtuous model, best team to execute, and ability to grow fast. And just to conclude, everything can be summed up on this graph. What VCs are looking for is, in the end, very simple. We want to feel that there is a promising start, amazing team, early traction, great technology, anything like this. We must feel that the huge potential and ambition can drive you very far, and we must believe in a credible path and a high growth story from where you are today to where you want to go. And that's just it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Boris. Big pleasure having you here. Thank you for sharing this with us.